The dramatic conclusion of the Seminole Heights serial shooter, The Capture. Imagine leaving home just as you would any ordinary day. You grab your favorite beverage and head out the door, not having any inclination that you will never see your family again. These tragedies became a reality for 4 innocent victims in Tampa, Florida, who seemingly were chosen randomly by the killer. This killer wasn't after money or valuables and was a seemingly ordinary college graduate who flew under the radar of friends and family. Between October 9, 2017 and November 14, 2017, 4 Seminole Heights citizens were innocently gunned down while walking or standing within a 1-mile circumference.
On the docket tonight, a case out of Florida, Tampa, Florida, and if you recall, going back to 2017, the fall of 2017, there was a neighborhood there that was, people were absolutely terrified to go outside because they believed there was a serial killer lurking in their neighborhood. And eventually someone was arrested and has been charged. And the question tonight is, did they get the right person as we prepare for the trial? Michael Ayala, Court TV anchor, has the story.
In the heart of bustling Tampa is Seminole Heights. For nearly 2 months in 2017, it was home to fear and terror.
22-year-old Benjamin Mitchell was standing at the bus stop at approximately 9:00 p.m. 32-year-old Monica Hoffa was walking to meet a friend at approximately 8:30 p.m. 19-year-old Anthony Niboa had exited the bus after work at about 8:00 p.m. And 60-year-old Ronnie Felton was crossing the street while waiting for the food bank to open, where he worked as a volunteer at approximately 4:50 a.m. A Tampa police officer is completing some official paperwork at the McDonald's restaurant inside the lobby, just northeast of downtown Tampa. She is approached by the restaurant manager, who tells the officer that an employee, Howell Donaldson III, had handed her a McDonald's food bag containing something heavy. Donaldson had asked his manager to hold on to the bag for him, asked her not to look inside, and told her that he needed to leave town. Donaldson left the restaurant, but said he would return shortly to use the restaurant's Wi-Fi. He was hoping to get a payday loan to finance his airline ticket, which he planned to purchase to leave the state. This is where things get even more mystifying. Did Donaldson really want to leave town and disappear into the bustling New York streets? Or was this his version of stopping the inner demons that had made their abode in the boundless depths of his dark soul?
Good morning. Trying to figure out who Donaldson is. As you mentioned, we were the only TV station here as he was brought into jail, the only ones who had a chance to ask him a question.
Howell, do you have anything to say?
You see Donaldson look back at us, but never answer. I've been looking into his past, his criminal history, learning more about who he is. Let's start with Florida. Other than Donaldson's arrest last night, he has no criminal history.
So what was Howell Donaldson III up to when he handed the gun over to his boss? In police terminology, this would be categorized as a capture. But comparing this capture in its truest form to other showdowns between police and other dangerous suspects, this was anything but an O.J. Simpson dramatic-style unfolding. No doubt this sweatless victory was a win for police. And so it's said, after all, a win's a win, right? Otherwise, you would have to ask yourself why a killer who had eluded police for 51 days would randomly turn over a McDonald's food bag containing the smoking gun's map to his life sentence. Let's see, there's free Wi-Fi almost anywhere. Starbucks, libraries, malls, and a host of other locations. But instead, Donaldson returns to the very place where he handed over what will prove to be the conclusive evidence against him. After the arrest, the citizens of Tampa had more questions than answers, wondering if law enforcement had the right man. No doubt they had the right man, later proven by the digital footprints of his cell phone, bullet casings from the gun he owned left behind at the scenes of these crimes, and DNA evidence. So who is this killer that ravaged the lives of the loved ones taken too soon, and what was next for the most hated man in Tampa? Donaldson, known as Trey to family and friends, was a seemingly pleasant and approachable college graduate who grew up in Tampa, Florida. An avid basketball fan, Trey played basketball from his youth, going on to play for several different high school teams. And although he never played a game at his college alma mater, St. John's University in New York City, he had managed to achieve the goal of collegiate-level consideration. Donaldson had a little brother and a big sister and was raised in a two-parent Christian home. According to neighbors, the Donaldson family was picturesque, kind, caring, and the face of happiness and support. Those who watched Trey grow up were astounded by the allegations.
Good evening, Jen. In this quiet neighborhood off of Memorial Highway, neighbors woke up today in total disbelief that the young man who used to live in this home behind me and shoot hoops in the driveway is now the suspected Seminole Heights killer. Sylvia Fernandez asked us not to show her face, but she said the Donaldsons are the best neighbors she's ever had.
Well, my brain won't compute that their son could do anything like this because they're such a beautiful family.
If Howell Donaldson III had a reason for killing those 4 people in Seminole Heights, no one is more puzzled than the folks who knew him from this neighborhood where he grew up, especially the woman I just met a few moments ago who says she walked him to school for 5 years. She's totally blown away by this. Jen?
Back at the McDonald's location, police were waiting to question Donaldson. Yes, we would be remiss not to ask the question again. Why would a killer who wanted to elude capture walk right into the waiting arms of police? If there was ever a time for Donaldson to put some distance between himself and the police, it was now. But instead, with red and blue flashing lights all around him, Donaldson drives right into the McDonald's parking lot and heads for the door as if he was late clocking in. According to the state attorney's office, Donaldson had not broken any laws by taking the gun into the restaurant. But detectives detained him for questioning by placing him in the back seat of the police car and had a limited amount of time to persuade him to talk. By adopting a non-threatening and approachable demeanor, detectives can build rapport and gain crucial insights. This strategy does not involve breaking the law, but rather relies on the expertise and craftsmanship of seasoned detectives. Here is where it gets tricky. Police had to find a way to get Donaldson to talk to them. Otherwise, he would be free to go about his day, just like any other citizen. If Donaldson refused to talk, detectives could lose valuable time and perhaps even the opportunity to prove he was the culprit. It is unknown to this day why Donaldson so easily agreed to accompany police to headquarters. But according to court documents, he also consented to permitting law enforcement to inspect his vehicle, cell phone, and even permission to fire his gun. It's noteworthy that detectives are masters of disguise, and a well-seasoned detective knows how to make the suspect comfortable. In a Columbo-style, almost innocuously coexisting kind of way. Donaldson had to know that the gig was up, and despite his calm demeanor, there must have been a moment when he hoped that this was all a dream. It wasn't a dream, and this nightmarish reality was staring him right in the face, and it wasn't going away. But wait, didn't the detectives tell him he was not under arrest and was free to go? Exactly. But Donaldson sat quietly in the cold, sterile police interrogation room, likely thinking he would be leaving on his own accord soon enough. After eluding police for 51 days, the walls were closing in on Donaldson, and the escape route he had become so accustomed to using had a dead end. Either Donaldson had to pony up on what he had done or outwit these seasoned detectives. But this was different. He was on their turf. But of course that wasn't going to happen. Forensics were carefully scouring through Donaldson's car, personal property, cell phone downloads, and the FDLE lab was test-firing the gun to determine if it was a match to the bullet casings recovered from the crime scenes. Donaldson was in the den with the lions, and these lions weren't letting go of their grasp. 4 innocent people had died at his hand. Yes, maybe Donaldson handing over the gun to this manager was a gift. A sweatless victory, as we called it, but proving that he was the killer would take strategy and skill. Court records show that detectives were patient, letting Donaldson express himself. His dream of playing professional basketball, having a falling out with his parents, and his impending flight to New York. Later in the investigation, the detectives are informed that during the examination and forensic download of Donaldson's phone, significant location data was located showing that Donaldson's phone was in the Seminole Heights area during the dates and times of the murders. He even told detectives more than once that when he makes it to the NBA, he will give them a shout-out. Detectives confront Donaldson with this information. Despite being given ample opportunity, he was never able to explain why his cell phone would record him in the area of Seminole Heights during the dates and times of the murders. During this portion of the interview, Donaldson states that he is becoming flustered and wants to go home. He appeared shocked and reminded detectives that when he initially arrived, he was told he would be questioned and would be able to leave at any time. According to detectives, this is the first time he mentions anything about wanting to leave Tampa Police Headquarters. The detective explains that he is now going to read him his Miranda rights and does so at approximately 7:30 p.m. Detectives then confront Donaldson with the facts that ballistics results say it's the gun. To his family's shock, Donaldson was charged with 4 counts of premeditated murder in the first degree, which are all capital felonies in Florida, one for each of the innocent victims. The Donaldson then requests to speak with an attorney. There was also a second phone found in Donaldson's car that he denied police access to. Donaldson had no alibi at the time of the crime, but his attorneys were determined to prove his innocence and secure his freedom. Donaldson's attorneys had their work cut out for them and began the arduous task of developing his defense to the murder charges. According to Donaldson, he was innocent and had nothing to do with the murders. He would tell his parents that the police had the wrong man. Wrong as in he was never there, wasn't familiar with the area, and was a person who wanted to do good in the world. His family was certain that he was innocent. Every family has secrets, and there are no perfect family units. So that begs the question, should Donaldson's parents be condemned to hell for his deranged behavior? In all fairness to his parents, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. It's unfathomable that the average parent could anticipate that the child they raised would turn out to be a murderer, let alone a spree killer or whatever category he fits into. Although the parents seemed oblivious to Donaldson's deadly propensities, some people have implied that they should have noticed the signs. Either way, the entire family was impacted by these tragedies. His parents, big sister, and even his little brother. Donaldson's name in Tampa, Florida will forever be associated with these senseless murders. Stick around to the end of the story for the sentencing, and let us know your thoughts. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. Donaldson's attorneys sought to argue that his initial detention at the McDonald's restaurant was unlawful, and raises the question of whether any evidence obtained during that time, including any statements made by Donaldson, would be admissible in court. According to the doctrine, if evidence is obtained as a direct result of an illegal arrest or detention, it is considered the fruit of that unlawful act. This means that the evidence is tainted and should be excluded from consideration in a court of law. The purpose of the doctrine is to deter law enforcement from engaging in unconstitutional or illegal activity to obtain evidence against a person. In the case of Donaldson, it was determined that detectives acted in good faith from the legal perspective when they detained Donaldson, who was both video recorded and signed the document, allowing detectives access to his phone, car that contained his personal property, and the gun. These arguments and defenses would span over 5 years, with his defense team unsuccessfully proving that Donaldson was innocent. On May 1st, 2023, Howell Donaldson III pleaded guilty to 4 counts of murder to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences. Donaldson is ineligible for parole and will spend his entire natural life in prison. He is housed at Avon Park Correctional Institution in the center of Florida, approximately 90 miles from where he committed these unspeakable crimes. Thank you for joining us on this journey to finding the truth. Tell us what you think about this story, and for more stories like these, hit subscribe.